So hi and welcome to a new episode of Hello World. Today we're going to bring you a story from the frontier where we're going to get to know the hospitality industry. The hospitality industry was obviously one of the industries that were hit the hardest, and we're going to speak about what it's like to lead a company where you suddenly are out of demand overnight, basically, and how do you prepare yourself for a new normal without knowing what the new normal is. So today's guest is Monique Dekker. She's the area Vice President of Austria, Italy, Hungary for Hyatt hotels, and the General Manager for Park Hyatt Vienna. Hyatt is one of the major hospitality companies in the world. They have about 900 hotels in more than 65 countries. So obviously they've been hit quite hard as well. So welcome to the show, Monique.
Thank you, Kim. It's great to be here.
Welcome. Nice to have you here. So we talked a few days ago, and you told us about your trip to Italy. So you were going to Italy in February to meet your team, and during the course of those days, everything changed, and the agenda of that trip changed. So tell us what happened.
Thank you. As an area vice president, you get added more hotels to your area, and I got the call that both Venice and Milano were going to be part of my area mid-January. So I didn't know the hotels, I didn't know the colleagues, and for me it was important to go see them and meet them and visit the properties. And I planned this trip mid-February to go there February 25th through the 27th. And as we know, Italy and that part of Italy was one of the first areas on where COVID-19 hit. So I got the call from the colleagues on Friday evening. My trip was going to start on Monday morning to say, Monique, we have a situation here. If you don't want to come, it's fine, but we don't know the size of the situation, so up to you. So I decided to go because we knew about COVID-19 from our colleagues in China, from the hotels in China, but not so much in detail yet, and not so live, I would say. That it was for me great to go there and see them. The arrival in Milano at the airport was very strange. Everything was quiet. There was not a person there. It felt like something out of a movie. But I did spend time with the team in Milan, and then I went to Venice. But in the meantime, you have this feeling like what's going on, what's happening here. And instead of getting to know the team and getting to know the hotel, I had to immediately change gears and go into, nice to get to meet you, nice to see the property, how are we going to shut down? Because it was very clearly that we had to shut down. So yes, it changed very quickly.
Yeah, and you've had to shut down a lot of your properties that you're responsible for during these months, right? Or what have you been able to keep open?
Yeah, so Italy was first, and then Austria was very quickly after that. So I have two properties in Italy that closed in the beginning of March. Then I have two properties in Vienna that one is closed completely also beginning of March, the second week of March. Then the Park Hyatt Vienna, where I'm also general manager and stationed at. We have some long stay guests, so the hotel has been more or less in operation, taking care of these residents. But other than that, we've been closed, and Hungary, Budapest has also been closed since mid-March. Yeah, and throughout the region, as area vice president, of course, we meet with the other colleagues per Zoom or Teams more than twice or three times a week, just to see how things are. And many of the properties around Europe for Hyatt, as well as other countries, are closed now.
Yeah.
Or right now when we're talking in the reopening phase.
Yeah.
So the last couple of months you have had to take a lot of radical and hard decisions, I guess. And so how has that been? Have you been able to have the right information to make more data-driven approach to all of those decisions, or has it been more gut feelings, or how have you handled this situation in terms of information?
So we hoteliers, we don't usually close hotels, right? We like to open hotels and have bustling lobbies and busy restaurants, etc. So it definitely was a bit of a strange feeling, and you have to be very pragmatic and make decisions very quickly, because at first you don't know the size or the scale of what's happening. So you don't know, do I need to shut everything down? Can I keep one restaurant open? Do I just keep 2 floors open? So you, on a daily basis, you just get to the point where then the whole hotel is closed. Of course, with the colleagues in China already, we had some best practices and checklists, like quick shutdown checklists. But there is, a large following on decision that you need to make. What do you do with the employees? What do you do with the food that is in the refrigerators? How do you make sure that you don't get Legionella in the rooms that are not being used? So, yeah, it's a constant, non-stop making decisions kind of situation that you're in, with, of course, in the back of your mind, oh my God, what's happening? What is this pandemic? What is this virus? And how can I take care of myself, my employees, and my guests? Because we didn't have as much information as we do now about this virus.
Yeah, it's fascinating to actually think about all the decisions that you need to take that you're not really thinking about, that you ever would have to take in that situation. So I can imagine that it's been very learning as well, actually. So now you're preparing to open up, and your normal season, this would be peak season, of course, because you would have tourists coming and so on. And we know now that some of the borders are opening and so on. But we're still expecting to have, to sort of still have to keep distance and be safe and so on. So what are your actions now? What are you planning to do? And what do you believe is going to be sort of the new normal within the next couple of, 6 months or so?
So there are 2 different things that we are currently working on. One, we are preparing to reopen with the new hygiene measures in place. Being part of a large company, we work very closely with Hyatt Corporation and our colleagues about what are all of the measures that need to be in place. Each hotel is going to have a hygiene manager now, how many people can be in an elevator. And next to, of course, what's the Hyatt part, we also have the Austrian government or the Italian government that have their own measures in place. Yeah. So that's the one end. The other end, of course, is the business part of opening. If you can only have 2/3 of your seats in the restaurant, doesn't make sense, because anything that we do as business managers is to make sure that we don't generate more losses by opening. So we need to really look at what are the costs when you're closed, and what is your break-even point when you start generating enough money again that it makes sense to open. So next to that, of course, working with the governmental agencies about how do we deal with these with our employees. Can we keep them on? 2019 was, for most hotels around the world, one of the best years ever. So we had, of course, a large staff to deal with this volume of business. How to get bridging loans to help the liquidity of the property. So yes, there's been quite a learning curve as well. But we in this business, we're used to making decisions when it comes to crises, whether that was September 11th or 2008, 2009, SARS. So we're used to that part. We're used to getting going again when trying to pick up the economy as much as we can. Of course, this situation is very different because there is a health concern attached to it, and unless we have a cure or a vaccine, this will follow us for some time to come. So that's the other thing that we're next to what we know and how to deal with the economic crisis and try to get out of this hole. That's the other part.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what we see, I mean, obviously, COVID-19 have changed a lot of industries, and a lot of industries are using digital means to change. So how do you think the hospitality industry will change after COVID-19?
There definitely be some technology requirements that are going to be introduced in hotels, whether that's mobile entry, so personless check-in, check-out, over your mobile phone with an app. Cleaning procedures that might be even more strict and have technology at the base of it. I also think that people are hungry for some sort of normality and hungry for some sort of interpersonal connection and being back with people again, even at distances. So we use technology a lot. So of course, when it comes to those kinds of things like mobile entry, but we do use technology when it comes to data and how to set up our strategies and where to find our guests, analytics. This is very important for us. This we use on a daily basis.
Yeah. So maybe you will have robots as well who will go to the door and do some of the stuff where you would use it. You normally maybe use personal stuff as well.
Absolutely, and you already see this in some of the hotels in China that, even temperature checking over there is done by robots. Delivery of when the guest needs extra items to his room, a towel or a bottle of Coke or something, that it's being delivered by robots. This always was, or in the last few years, something that was up and coming. It's just sped up now because of the situation. Yeah.
Yeah. So even if though you keep saying you're used to taking decisions quickly and so on, but I can imagine that this situation is obviously not something that you can be trained for. Not that you sort of lose demand maybe overnight, and you have to, as you were saying, the health concerns and so on. So how has Hyatt supported you as leaders in this situation? What support have you got from them? And what do you feel like, I mean, you're an experienced leader. What experiences are you sort of going for now? What is from your previous work? What can you bring with you? What have you found more useful in this situation where you had to manage a very different situation than before?
Yeah, well, we because our business is so fluctuating, right? You have good years, you have bad years. The restaurant could be good, the hotel maybe not so good. So we are taught, and we are pretty much known for being able to think on our feet very quickly. And most of us are very pragmatic as well. So that definitely helps. Hyatt has supported a lot by giving us financial support, by setting up all kinds of checklists, rapid reopening toolkits, and all these things that help us. So, for me as an area vice president for my 5 hotels, I can say, here you go, follow this to the T, and we have experts, of course, supporting us in all area, whether that's sales and marketing, whether that's finance, operations, human resources. So they've given us a lot of support. What I like a lot about Hyatt is that our purpose is very strong in the company. Our purpose is we care for people so they can be their best, and we live this really very strongly. So even in the good times, and especially now in the more difficult times, that we lead a life of taking care of others, whether that's the owner, the employee, or the guests. Very much at the forefront of what we do is also well-being. So during these very difficult days, or the dark days, as some people like to call them, Hyatt has given us opportunities to be part of Headspace, for example, for all employees, so we can do meditation or take care of anxiety, and those things help as well, because it helps you center and get back to, and also maybe for 10, 15, 20 minutes not make decisions or not, but take really good care of yourself. So that's, in my opinion, very important, and that's, in my opinion, also the strength of Hyatt as a company.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, maybe to finalize, what has been the biggest takeaways, the learnings that you've made from last couple of months as a leader?
Well, for me personally, that I know I can do very well under stress. Yeah, that I can handle things even stressful, and make sure that I also make sure that the team also can handle the stress. Because when one person starts stressing out, the others will follow. So staying calm is one part. What I've learned a lot is things that I never had to deal with is the whole, applying for government grants, applying for financial support, really dialing down into the financial part of running a business. And of course, as a business leader, you can and but these are areas that maybe were not so familiar for most of us. So I think that's good. For me personally, what I've learned as well is that for me, family, friends, my colleagues have become very, very important in these last 3-4 months, and just taking some time for myself as well, and taking care of them and spending time with them, because you get very quickly into this rat race of life, and taking a step back and seeing what's important is also been learning for me.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Monique. We're not going to take more of your time. It was really interesting to look into your industry and the situation you've been in. I can't even imagine the amount of decisions you've been able to make in this situation. I really wish you all the best, and I hope that you get the best season that you can during the circumstances. And I hope that you're not going to have to apply too many of the learnings you've had in the future as well, but you will be able to go back to maybe taking care and welcoming guests and giving the personal touch that me personally as well am really looking forward to having back again in our life, to have that. Even if we're meeting on screens, it's just not the same thing, is it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you.
So thank you so much, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow.
Yeah, it's something completely different to what we do on a daily basis. I think it's interesting to see, but it's also interesting to see how you can adapt, how quickly we sort of really adjust to the situation and take it on as it comes.
This is an extreme example how to adapt to change, because I mean everything changed. Like she said, last year was the best year, and now this happens. So extreme radical change for a lot of people. Definitely. Obviously, yes. Yeah.
So it was really interesting to have a look into that industry, I think.
Yes, definitely.
So thank you for joining us. Remember to follow us on LinkedIn so you don't miss any episodes. We will post them there. And thank you for taking the time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.